I want to take like a traditional Nollywood story. What would that look like, that updated version in 2025, 2026? Musicians play different roles. The bad guy on campus could be Ghost or Bodge, or Ghost could be the professor.
The good guy.
Ghost could be the professor.
The professor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Like I said, it's an honor to be sitting in front of both of you today. Big fan of like what y'all have been able to do for not just like hip hop, but the culture of Nigeria generally in the music scene. But how are you guys feeling today? Like,
good, man. I'm happy to be here. Toronto is one of my favorite cities.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, same actually. We have a lot of friends that wherever we go, actually, we have a bit of like a community of people that we always tap in with. And like in Toronto, we have people that always hold us down, look out for us. So yeah, it's been good. We've been doing a bit of a promotional run in the UK, New York.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's good, man. It's like getting the music. We've been working on it for a while. And so now this is the fun part, getting out, letting people hear it, getting people anticipating the new project.
Since 2022, right?
Well, this project?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the first track.
Yeah, first track, but 2023.
Yeah, I'll say 23. The first track of the project, like one of the songs on the project we recorded in 2023. But a lot of it was like really like the space of like this year and late last year that we created most of it. Yeah.
So I just kind of want to take it a little back before we can go towards that. But I've always thought the name Show Dem Camp was interesting. Like, where did this even come from?
Yeah.
So I would love if you guys could shed more light on that.
There used to be like when we moved back to Nigeria, there was a whole bunch of us that were like used to roll together as a crew.
Okay.
When we did camp.
Like so it wasn't just like two of you?
It wasn't just two of
us.
It was a camp. So everywhere we used to go, like that was like Show Dem. You know?
Okay.
So that's why we called Show Dem Camp. But then, after a while, people started, breaking off, and we were the last one standing. Actually, there were four or five of us, the last one standing.
Yeah. Also, but in that context, that we were the only artists. The other guys were pushing behind the scenes,
okay, I see.
building stuff behind
just
the
like
scenes.
a collective.
Yeah. Exactly. And then in film and the business side of what we're doing. And like Go said, I think like there's also all of us were a collective of like black sheep in the family, and so the idea of the black sheep is like, okay, people don't believe in this or believe in this vision, so we're going to show them. We're going to actually like manifest this,
But you guys started out like dropping like purely rap projects.
Yes.
And I feel like that was very audacious in a scene like Nigeria, where you've heard the narrative several times that there isn't really an audience for that type of rap. And I was reading like your interviews, a previous interview that you did, that was kind of what influenced your pivot when you started with the Palm Wine series. Yeah,
so I mean, when we first moved back to Nigeria, we lived in the UK, and we were mostly like, we were influenced by a lot of like hip hop that we grew up on, like Jay-Z's, Nas, Method Man, those type, and so for us, we were creating music with the idea of competing with all these like global artists. And then we moved back to Nigeria, and at the time, like you said, we thought at first that we're gonna just come and rap and people are gonna be blown away.
Yeah, that was the first idea. We just wanted to be like the best rappers. Not really thinking about the landscape or anything like that. I just wanted to prove that we could rap. So go on.
No, exactly that. And then we realized that the sound here like is different. Then it was like even the Afro beats that when we first moved back was a lot faster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you had the One Day Coles, you had all these people who were making like club music for the club specifically. So we even tried that in a period of our career. We actually tried to fuse hip hop with those sounds, but we just didn't really feel
wasn't clicking.
Yeah, we weren't comfortable.
We were comfortable in the pockets.
Yeah. So then we worked with a producer called Jules out in Ghana, where we did Feel Alright. And and then that was now kind of like, okay, well, this is something uniquely African, something that is digestible here, but also we feel comfortable rapping on. The pace is slower, it's more chilled out, it's more vibes.
I think I was the first one to break through too, because that's when I first heard Show Dem Camp. Yeah,
100%. We had a song called Farah Ballet, which actually popped off in Nigeria with Mehdi, who then worked with P-Square and all of that. But that song was on radio in Nigeria. It was on TV stations, was on the charts in Nigeria at the time. So that was our first taste of like what success in Nigeria could look like. And then Feel Alright was the next one.
And then the first one, that's the Palm Wine Music One, was an EP basically.
Like 7 tracks or something.
Yeah. I think what was really like interesting about it is that the kind of talent that you brought on, these were alternative artists that weren't really what was in the mainstream. Like of course, like people like Mehdi were a bit in the mainstream then, but you coming out to work with people like Bodge, people like Odunsi, people that were in that all taste like specification. Was that intentional to kind of lean into that side?
I mean, the thing is that we generally work with people that creatively we like feel their vibe and their energy from their music. So if we think somebody is creatively talented, we're just generally going to gravitate towards their music. It's not really it's not really a conscious thing that you just go around and, actually we're just going to pick these certain guys. Just people that we actually genuinely mess with their music, and they just happen to be somebody like Bodge, who I worked with before. Generally happened to mess with their music, and then who else was it? Tommy Thomas, Paul was obviously somebody that we worked with before. So these are all people that we just individually from their talent, we actually like we're fans of their music as well. So let's just do something together. Yeah,
100%. I feel like we don't there's a lot of like trends that happen in Nigerian music. I actually think it's a unique music industry because like the trends move so fast. Like, there's a new trend, there's a new artist. Right now is Mavo.
Every year there's a new breakout.
Last year was this person, then it was Shadi Poppy, then it's Odumodu, then it's like, so it changes really quickly, and so for us, we're not really interested in like following trends. I think the first thing is like, who sonically do we even just like rock with? People always come all the time and say, yo, check out this person, check out that person. I remember once like, Lady Donlia like sent me a message on Twitter at the time saying like, yo, I need to work with Show Dem Camp. So then I went on SoundCloud, listened to her music. I feel like we're very open to the idea of just discovering new artists.
Yeah, to the ground, which is really cool.
Yeah, very much so.
I really like that. And for me, that worked out because like you guys kind of carved out your own lane. I feel like one of my main what I look forward to in the Show Dem Camp album is that I know I'm probably going to be introduced to an artist I haven't heard before.
100%.
And I saw that on every album, especially like the Music 3. I just discovered so many artists I'd never heard of before. So I love the aspect of curation along with just being artists.
100%. You're going to get that on this new album as well. There's like a lot of interesting voices. And funny enough, a lot of them are women, on this new project we're working on. Like I feel like I've been saying it lately, but I feel like, every few years in Nigeria, we have a sonic change. Like you have the class of the Omales and Fireboys and Thameses, and you have the class of the Burna Boys and those guys that came before. And I kind of feel like, I feel like right now, like it's time for a fresh new batch of artists, and I think a lot of them are going to be women, and not just from Nigeria, but across the continent as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'd love to hear that, especially because it's called Afrika Magik.
Exactly.
So I think it makes sense to do that.
Tap into different sounds across the continent for sure.
One thing I noticed with that pivot is that apart from the sound changing, which was obvious, the subject matter changed. When you guys were doing like Clone Wars, which you still put out more, it was way more like politically charged. But when you moved to Palm Wine Music, it was more chill, speaking about like love and stuff. Like, how did it feel to make that pivot also lyrically, apart from like sonically as well?
I think it's refreshing to be able to do both because as human beings, as rappers, rap is an outlet for me, for us. For sure. And so like with the Clone Wars, it's like there's a lot of expression in terms of frustration, things you're going through. When we did the earlier Clone Wars, we just wanted to just rap and we couldn't do the things we wanted to do, so that was more of our creative palette. But then with the Palm Wine Music, I found that it was a lot more, showed a different side, like guys growing up and actually connecting with our roots. And expressing that sonically through the music. So it was good to be able to have a balance because, like you said, we are very much hip hop based artists, but to be able to express is also innate with us. So it's good to be able to have a balance.
I agree. I would even say I'll go as far as to say Clone Wars is more introspective, right? So it's more like as a human being, as a person, what are the things you're seeing, and that comes in terms of like Go said, some things you see in society that you want to speak on. It comes in form of like a lot of songs on Clone Wars projects are actually just manifestations, just putting words to putting words out in the universe and manifesting certain things from those words. And then the rap side is where we have like you know, like let's just show people that we're nice still, like even though, you know,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of that on Clone Wars. And I think Palm Wine is more of a wider feel for people. Like people do go through love, people go through heartbreak, people go through relationships, people, you know, and also just seeing Lagos through, you know, the way we described it initially was kind of like, you know, if you're escaping from Lagos for a weekend and you're going to like the beach with your friends or whatever, this music will soundtrack that, you know, like, and I kind of feel that like, yeah, it's more, although some introspection actually does seep into the music as well.
It does.
Yeah, but mainly, you know, Palm Wine is more vibes and, you know, and fun, you know.
Definitely a soundtrack to that, and it was different from what everyone else was doing at the time. I think one thing I'm curious that I always wanted to ask about is that you guys did Palm Wine Music 1, 2, and then Express.
Yes.
Before now 3.
Yes.
So like, what informed that decision?
It's funny because when we did Express, right, we actually were trying to do Afrika Magik at that time. So if you even listen, there's a song called Tales by Moonlight.
Tales by Moonlight, yeah.
Which actually is like, you know, is featuring Thames. And Tales by Moonlight is obviously like a TV show that we had in Nigeria at the time.
Yeah.
So Tales by Moonlight was meant to be on the Afrika Magik project. You know, so even on the song, like Tales by Moonlight, if you listen to it now, you hear, like I say, yo, this is the Afrika Magik. Like,
Yep,
you know,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So like that was what we initially started recording with that project in mind.
Wow.
The song Flex On, we had a session actually where we did Flex On You, Damilon, and Tales by Moonlight, and those were Afrika Magik sessions. But then at the time, we just felt like the follow through with this album and what we want to, like the world we want to build around it, we weren't ready to do that yet. So, and then it's not quite fully Palm Wine at the time, so we now just said, okay, let's call it Palm Wine Express. Yeah, like it leads us to, the Express takes you to Palm Wine 3, it takes you to the next journey.
Afrika Magik has actually been in the making for a while. We actually had that
like,
concept.
wow.
We've had that concept on our minds for a long time, but you know, Palm Wine, just the vibe just keep on coming,
it's so interesting that has been in the works for this long. Okay, that's actually, the music nerd in me is satisfied hearing that. So is the Palm Wine series over? Like, was 3 at the cap?
I mean, you never want to say never, but I think for us, like, I mean, I think sometimes you have like Fast and Furious, like 5, 6.
Yeah.
You know, then you could have stopped at 3, right? So like this is what we say for like our Palm Wine music. I think we're still gonna make music in that kind of space, but we just don't want to call it Palm Wine. But like I said, you know, you never say never, because Palm Wine is actually part of our brand.
Yeah,
it's part of our identity.
In a big way. I think you were talking about the production, and I think there's a song that line really stuck out to me, where you said you were like, Spax came up with a new sound, and you guys were like, bingo, like what is this? Like how did that happen with the production? Because you talk about working with Jules, which I feel like they live in a very similar soundscape, but Spax has done so much, so I associate him with you guys straight away. 100%. So how is that collaboration?
So it's funny because like a few years back, Ladipo actually took me to go meet this producer he was working with, Spax, and he played me some music, and it was very much in that African sort of like lane, right? Like sample, like utilizing like high life, utilizing live instrumentation. So for me, we kind of kept a relationship. We were sending messages and he'd send me beats and stuff, but we hadn't actually locked in on working together. And then I had a studio, I had a small studio at the time where everybody would come and record, and I invited him down to the studio. So he came out there, and when we wanted to work on some music, he was like, listen, the SDC I want to tap into is actually the Feel Alright SDC. Like I feel you guys put your hand on something, but you never quite followed it through. After Feel Alright, our next song was a song called Happy Weekend, and then we just started putting out different things, you know. And for me, I was like, you know what, actually, like, I actually really enjoyed Feel Alright, and I actually think that is something I've always looked to, like, continue to build on, but I haven't found the right production partners to continue to build it, you know. Even after Feel Alright, you know, like we planned to work with Jules some more, and he sent us some beats, but they weren't even in that same lane. So he had even departed from that lane, and then he started working with Mr. Easy, which kind of was very similar to that.
Helped what you guys were doing.
100%.
Shifted the sound.
100%. You know, so for us then, it then became a thing where it was like, okay, you know what, like we found a producer now that is willing to like explore this world with us, explore these sounds with us. I also think that it also came at a time where, you know, I say this all the time, like, but growing up, we always listen to American hip hop, right? And what that does, what Americans have done very well is actually they've given you a vision of where they're from.
Their culture.
Yes. So you see like LA, I can tell you about the gang members in LA, I can tell you about Compton, Inglewood, Long Beach. I've never been to any of these, I'm just in Lagos dreaming of all these places. You know, I remember when we first, you know, one time we got to New York, we're like, we're going to go to Bed-Stuy. I actually thought, you know, I didn't know it was the hood.
It's gentrified now. Right?
Yeah, but now it's like, I was expecting to see the hood and I was like, seeing people walking with little dogs and drinking coffee.
Gentrification.
So exactly, you know, so for us, we were like, you know what, actually that insight that they've given us into their home, their culture, where they're from, we want to do the same thing. You know, and palm wine music actually is like, you know, we joke about it, but every Niger video at the time, they say Hennessy, Moe, you know, they be talking about like other foreign drinks. Like, why don't we champion our own stuff?
Actual palm
wine.
Yeah.
And when we did it, actually, people were like, what the hell is this? Like,
really?
You know, but yeah, people were like, I remember them saying, I think, are you guys kegites or something? I don't know.
We started off with small chops. We did something like that, small chops, and then we went to palm wine. Like, we're still like trying to keep it home-based.
Did you guys notice, like, from your own angle, like, initial pushback when you guys started? Because you said that some people were like, what is this?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think it never came, like easy. Now it's changed, right? Like now I feel like Africans around the world are proudly Africans. Nigerians
it wasn't always like that.
It wasn't always like that. Like,
that's true.
You know, even I remember when we were in school in the UK, like everybody would lie about their names. You see a guy called Femi, you say his name is Sean. You say, you know, another guy called, you know, one of my friends called himself Darnell. You know, like we just came up with like crazy names, like because at the time it wasn't cool to be African. You know, but I think with the emergence of music, I think with the emergence of film, fashion, and just like cultural icons, social media, I feel like now, it's a badge of honor that everybody's wearing.
It's beautiful to see though.
It is. It is. One thing I want to just ask, just randomly, is that personally, I saw palm wine music too is no longer on streaming. Let's
talk that talk.
What's that about? Because I wanted to
I'm
play.
gonna ask my manager for the political
Are we allowed
Can we
to
tell the real answer? Yeah, can I say it? We go? All right, cool. Say that. So I'll just say it in this way, right? Like, I think that what has happened in music recently is, you know, we've gotten to the point where a lot more African artists are a lot more conscious about their business. Okay. Right? But at the time where palm wine music 2 came out, not that many people were conscious of their business. Okay. Right? So there's a particular situation, I won't say names, but I'll say there's a particular situation with an artist. We did a song with the artist that did very well. We said, here's terms, they negotiated terms, we agreed terms. And then like a few years later, artists will hit you up and say, no, I feel I deserved more. And I feel like I want more. And I feel like if you don't do more, I'm threatening this.
Which is like so down the line.
Exactly. It's like how many years after the project, you know? So at the moment where there's a little bit of a conversation with an artist and like, you know, hopefully we get to resolve it. But but for me, I think that rather than, you know, maybe I'm a bit of a proud person, right? Like, but rather than, I would rather, you know, if you guys think it's not about, yes, the project has done its thing and it's still going to continue to be, we'll be back up very soon.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, now for sure, we'll be back up very soon. I think now, like, we're super, super conscious of, like, you know, there's no more gentleman's agreement. There's no more, like, let's agree on everything. There's even now, to be honest with a lot of people, they don't even agree to the contracts that they've signed anymore, which is crazy.
Your signature is on it, right?
Exactly, you know. So ultimately, like I said, like we're in discussion and hopefully we can resolve it. But I think that it's taught me a lot of lessons. Actually, I feel like, you know, over the years we kind of zeroed in to really work with our friends, and I think we're going to keep it that way. We're going to keep it tight.
You're really lenient with that response.
You know,
you want to give your perspective.
There's a lot of idiots in this. Just, you know, like you said, you come back years after, and the thing that pisses me off is that when you talk about people's integrity, like we work with artists, we are people who collaborate with people, we look for collaborations, we are artists ourselves, we build this from the ground up, we want from a label. Why would we want to do you over? You understand? Like we kept it open from the beginning. We're not being there's no malicious bone in us. And when that kind of thing comes back at us, like there've been a couple of people. I've got my eyes on them.
Man, I think that's a pity.
Yeah, I mean, but it's part of like, you know, for me, the way I look at it is the cost of doing business. It's the cost of being super collaborative. It's the cost of working with people. I feel like, you know, because of the type of people we are, I actually feel it'll be easy for you to come and say, hey, bro, I didn't really understand the business back then. I may have signed something, I didn't even know what I signed.
Let's but you have to see what works for
us. You have to acknowledge it. Like, you can't come on smoke, you know. If you come on smoke, we'll respond.
Especially because you benefited.
Exactly. Do you understand? Like, you know, so I mean, so for me, I feel like, you know, and I'll say it to anybody, like, you know, even like maybe the other collaborators who may feel some type of way, like just, I'm down to have a chat, like, you know, we've been very fair. We're always very fair with everything we do. But if you don't understand the business of it and you haven't been able to truly focus on the business of it, and now suddenly you understand the business of it, like, let's have a conversation, you know. We were people that would always say to artists, let's agree splits, let's sign agreements, let's do all these things. And I think some people were a bit like laissez-faire about it then.
Yeah.
And then
suddenly, but now they've woken up.
Yeah, they wake up years later. And
which is good, but
yeah, I mean, like it's great. And I think that more and more as we're developing as an industry, I think it is really great to see the importance of paperwork. And it's really great to see, like, when we weren't crazy back then when we were saying, everybody, let's sign contracts so we know where we are. Because if we didn't do that, it would be a different story now.
It might have been even worse now.
Exactly. You know,
well, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, because you can see at the point where you guys started, the Nigerian music industry,
there was no industry. It was guys on vibes. Like, we went out studio, we do a song, hey, we're putting it out tomorrow, good luck. Like, nobody ever really, but then obviously, like, because we came in just before, like, the streaming era, right? So when we first came back, people were selling CDs, and at that time, we would even pay for our CDs to be sold on the street, you know? And then when the streaming era came in, now, like, it's gotten to the point where, like, it's no longer enough to just, like, enter with vibes.
No, like, you have to be strategic.
We have to be super clear on everything, and we like the amount of like paperwork. Everybody hates it, like, because now we have to get this person coughed on the track, this person did this on track, you know. But it's frustrating, but it's important because I feel like, you know, this is our work we're creating, it's our art we're creating, and like years down the line, you're gonna look back at it, and I want everybody that's collaborated with us to feel like, you know, they gained something out of it. Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah.
Does that like when the business side of things now becomes a main conversation, does that slow down the process of making the music?
You wouldn't imagine.
Yeah,
it always does. But I mean, and the thing is that it's like you said, because the industry is growing more and more. So today it's becoming more of a stressful thing, because like when you have things like you have like a creative palette that you created, and then all of a sudden, you know, we get taken back by some, you know, political stuff that you know that happens behind the scenes. It's frustrating, but the creative still goes forward.
And something that I just want to say as well, my manager is probably going to hit me for saying it, but I'll put it out there. Every artist we've ever worked with, we've only ever given, like, so for example, if we're doing a track, right, we do a song together. You may come and say, I want X% of the song. I don't even negotiate. Wow. I say, you know what, give them.
That's fair.
You know, but if now you're because there's standard things in the industry. So if they say, okay, you know what, this is a standard thing. Are you down? You're down? Okay, cool, we shake on it, cool. Like before in Nigeria, we didn't even have like all this publishing and all these other things. You know, so now a lot of things have changed. And I think that, you know, again, it's a conversation. There's nothing wrong with saying I didn't know at the time. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying like I would love to like figure this out with you or whatever. But I think because of the country we are, there's a saying in Yoruba that said "dasi rough," like just scatter everything.
Come with violence.
Like, yeah, exactly. You come with violence, then everybody will stand up.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Exactly.
That's not the way to approach things. That's what I feel. So yeah, either ways, we move past that. Like and then, but to all the fans who have been asking, that's your reply.
I'm happy because I wanted to play some songs like a few days ago. I'm like, wait, where is this?
Yeah, no, it'll be back up. It'll be back up. Like, by the time this interview probably comes out, it'll be back up for sure.
Amazing. Yeah. What is interesting that you guys have been working on this Afrika Magik for so long. What made you decide that now is the time to actually fledge this out?
Okay, when we say working on it, like the concept has been on our mind for a long time, and now, like I said, I think right now we're in a space where, you know, like tech is doing multiple things. I'm doing I have personal things that I'm doing as well. So in terms of being limited to having to write Clone Wars tracks or palm wine music tracks, it's not really the vibe right now for us. We're in a different space of our life. I want to be able and we want to be more creative. So Afrika Magik was something that we always thought was going to be a good expression point for us to be able to, a wide lens where we don't have to be limited to either the palm wine sound or the Clone Wars sound. And that's how we started off. So we thought that right now, we just came back off a project with the Cavemen, which is a collaborative project as well.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, now we're going to come back hit the ground running and really focus keen on this concept. So this is the first of hopefully a series, I think.
Oh. Yeah. That would be nice.
So this is Afrika Magik, Nollywood romance.
Nollywood romance, which I love the fact that y'all are leaning into that because I feel like Nollywood is so iconic, and we haven't seen so many artists actually fully tap into that musically. Like we've seen people tap into it, fashion and a little bit of things, but I think this is very unique.
Yeah, 100%. I think also as well, I think in world building, which is what we enjoy doing. So in the whole palm wine, we built a world, we built a festival, we built multiple things off like palm wine music. I think the next step for us was how do we create a new world, something that excites us, interests us. And I think also in the past year, so I've also started moving into the film space as well. So ultimately, it kind of just it all felt aligned is the first thing. I think the second thing as well, like you mentioned with Nollywood, I feel like that's another example of something uniquely African, something uniquely independent, something uniquely courageous, where there was no film industry and a bunch of young people picked up cameras and got together and made a film industry and we created iconic stars. Like you recognize your Ramsey Noah, your RMD, your Genevieve, your Omotola, your Funke Akindele, there's so many people, right? And they become icons not just in Nigeria, in the Caribbean, in West Africa, across Africa. So for us, it's let's pay homage and honor people that have done amazing stuff, man. Let's use our platform or our music to do that. And it then also makes it iconic because there's so much content around Nollywood that you can delve into.
It's a lot. I love that. And I think what makes me excited to see you guys tackle this is, for example, one of my favorite things about Palm Wine Music 3 were just skits. It was so interesting to listen to. It really tied the whole thing together. Getting into that, how do those skits work? How do y'all come up with sequencing that, putting that on there? Because honestly, they're one of my favorite parts of the project.
I mean, Palm Wine Music 3 was who we got, EBA and...
there was a bunch of people.
There was a bunch of people that were on those and conversations. I think that generally we have these we joke around all the time. We laugh at our struggles a lot. So in terms of having people who can creatively do that, we've got a bunch of people like you said, of EBA, Foley Storm, some of our own friends that we can always call on to help create this world with us. Those they come along and we don't even know how they come along.
That's so cool. I like that. They're just aligned.
And also just in terms of growing up, we listened to a lot of music and a lot of albums that had skits. It always felt especially in 90s hip hop, which is our bread and butter. Everybody kind of had themes that ran through the album and helped paint the picture. I remember people like Eminem or Snoop Dogg or whatever, they kind of had little sound bites or little stories throughout their album. So for us, we just kind of want to make albums exciting again, really. The concept of Palm Wine Music 3, where we came up with a radio station. And that radio station, people can speak on love and speak on some of the topics. Exactly. And just come up with comedy. We'll sit down, we actually workshop it with the people that we bring into the space. This is what we're thinking about. What do you think? And actually create them live in the moment.
So cool. I love that. Y'all posted this video a couple days ago, recreating the popular Nollywood scene, and I think that was cool. I think people took it too seriously. I was like, is it this deep?
That's the thing. I feel that what has happened in the internet era is that people always want to find something to be outraged about. I think a lot of people that I even saw talking don't even follow SDC, don't even know that
anything about
it. Don't even know the comedy element to it, or that a lot of it is tongue in cheek. You know, so for us, yeah, like I mean, what Two-Face said, he has a song where it says, "If nobody talks about you, then you are nobody,"
which is bad.
Exactly. So for us, like it's really just like, you know, we have a whole thing,
engagement,
lined up with this album, with this concept, things that we're gonna roll out.
And it was tied to the Afrika Magik
exactly,
thing,
and then people would see as we start to deploy or roll out content that we have, people will see how intentional we are about this particular era Nollywood lane we're going in.
I love that. You spoke about the collab project with the Cavemen. I thought that was really interesting. It felt natural too, but how did that come about?
So I mean, I think that, you know, that project did something for me actually, in a sense that like it was the creation of the project was probably one of my most like memorable and fun moments creating music or creating a project in a long time. And why it was because like after COVID, when we got into like some of the other projects, it's very much like, you know, okay, we send a verse to this person or send a beat to this person, he sends us a hook. Like for mine alone, we're not in the studio with Oxlade, or for other songs, we're not in the studio with the people. But with the Cavemen, what we just did, we rented a space, we got like Benjamin brought his drums, Kingsley brought his bass, we had our guitarist Insikat who came through, you know, Sparks the producer, and then we just had friends come in. So at some point, even people that are not even recording, so at some point Thames is there, she's there with some of her friends, we're all just jamming. At some point Falana is there, Tim Larry, Mologo, people are just coming through. You know, and then there's some amazing artists that we've always wanted to collaborate with, like Obonjaya or Ruti, who's featured on the project as well. So it just gave us the opportunity to, it felt like everybody's in a room and everybody's just throwing stuff at the wall, and whatever sticks, like somebody could be saying a chant and they're like, what's that? Keep that, record it. So it was very much like the first time in a long time where we've created music like all energy together. It's just very improv actually, and that's what I loved about that project.
I want to talk about like the hip hop in Nigeria. People still have that narrative saying that like it can't sell, but when we're looking at like what is going on now, it feels like that narrative is changing.
100%.
How do you guys feel about that?
About hip hop selling
in Nigeria, just the hip hop scene right now?
I think, I don't know what it is about Nigerian hip hop in particular, but the people who consume Nigerian hip hop, they consume hip hop globally, right? So I don't see why there's such a thing about Nigerian hip hop in particular, because we have dope Nigerian hip hop artists. Like we have, I mean, Alpha, Ladpo, like, and there's been so many, right? Right now, Odumodu is popping off.
He's on top,
and he's like killing the market right now. What I'm a big fan of is Odumodu's like his his movement. He moves with intention. And that's his style. So I think anybody who creates a movement, it's not just about just being able to rap. If you have like a movement, like your own niche or whatever that's individual to you, kind of like how 50 was, or then you have Griselda with their own, you know what I mean? So like everybody's different. So if you have your own kind of style, there's nothing stopping you from selling your hip hop.
And also just to add that, like I think like if you look at the charts in Nigeria, whenever Odumodu drops, for example, his projects go to number one. Whenever Blackbone, I think is number one right now, right? You know, so yeah, I don't think it cancelled. I think it's just like we needed an energy boost, and I feel one of the things that they've done very well that I actually want to say is that like Odumodu's version of hip hop is original and very Nigerian.
Very original.
Yeah, you know, like it's very Nigerian, you know, and that's what I like. I think like, and I think that's what people resonate with. There's some things that he says that, you know, like
you need context to get it.
Exactly. You for like this boy, you know,
every day now,
you know, like there's so much. Even like, you know, with Black Boys, I know they're having their little squabble now, whatever, but like I feel like even with him as well, like a lot of stuff that he says is uniquely Nigerian. So maybe Nigerian hip hop has wanted to like tap back in with the street slang and what people are actually, you know, vibing to. And then you have a lot of young kids now who are making
that's what I wanted to ask.
Different sound of hip hop. Mevo,
I mean, looking at familiar with.
You know, all those guys, like, you know, even from an older generation, like, it's not, to me, I'm constantly like looking at it like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this is what the kids are vibing to now. Not in a bad way, just in a way that, like, you know, Jay-Z may not necessarily know what an NBA young boy is doing, but exactly. NBA young boy will sell out the shop. But people are going exactly. It's still all the same thread is still there. You know? So for me, I feel like that's what is exciting. You know, there's so many new voices, there's so many new people, and they're not doing it like in the corner, like they're doing their chest. They're coming out to like doing their chest, and that's big for the scene.
I think the main thing even for Nigerian music in general, Afrobeats, hip hop, is like the infrastructure of trying to like build something that lasts. In Nigeria, like Tech was shocked when I told him like they have a battle rap scene.
I found out about that recently, and I was actually shocked.
Yeah, I didn't know that. There's some Nigerian battle rappers that are battling in Canada here. I'm telling you, with actual battle rap, and I'm winning. That's cool. I keep on forgetting their names.
That's actually so interesting.
And they're dope, you know, and they have their own style. Although I don't know why they are carrying Glock 14s and everything, like Glock 9 and all that. But they're trying to create a whole scene. Mm-hmm. So I think that if you just like focus on like building something, I think that anybody can really sell within Nigeria. You know.
Okay, so with the Afrika Magik like series, okay, I don't know if this interview is gonna be out, like when it goes, but I know you guys have said that it's different from whatever world, like, but can you give us a little bit like more insight on what we're gonna get on here? Sure.
So I mean, this one, like Go said, the theme was Nollywood romance. We're thinking of like just the iconic women in Nollywood, how they were like baddies with a purpose, you know. Like they didn't they didn't send anybody, they were just doing their own thing. When you watch some of these like older movies, the way they move, the way they carry themselves, and whoever was writing the scripts then, they're actually genius because they're like
it's real dialogue.
It's real dialogue. It's actually hilarious. And so this Nollywood romance we kind of just touched on, and it kind of worked out that there's so many women on the project as well, but and they're speaking from different perspectives. We have a song with Winnie where she's kind of like the woman telling the guy, sorry, he thought it was real love. Sorry about that. You know. And they're just taking ownership of the space. I think that's happening generally in the scene anyway. And I think that like one of the things we want to explore is that, okay, Nollywood romance is the first one. When we go deeper down the line, you know, there's Nollywood films about money, about
lots of things.
Yeah, about ambition, about you know greed.
Even, like familiar relationships,
exactly.
Not even just romantic.
Exactly. So exploring these relationships and these themes, and I think that like it gives us a whole new world to explore. And each project would have a specific theme, and those themes will now kind of like live on in different ways and continue to just mine this whole idea. I would actually love to like, you know, I've said it to people now that I'm kind of in the film space. I actually love to shoot a Nollywood film. But I don't mean because I've shot a film already with my brother.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I mean like I want to shoot I want to take like a traditional Nollywood story. Like there's a film Campus Generals, that's the one with J. Mike. And then when I was watching that and I just like, you know, in doing some research, I was watching that and I was just seeing the story about how one bad guy on campus lost one babe. And then another guy came and took his babe. And just like the story and then just shoot it like, what would that look like, that updated version in 2025, 2026? You know, I think it would be really dope. And then have a lot of like musicians play different roles. The bad guy on campus could be Ghost or Bodge, or Ghost could be the professor.
The good guy.
Ghost could be the professor.
The professor.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but from the OG perspective now, we've been in the game. Will you be on campus?
This guy, I don't understand. I could be the bad guy, the confront guy.
Oh, well, fair. That was sushi as well.
No, I would love to see that. I feel like it's also like just add a layer of context, especially if you guys really want to build out this Afrika Magik universe. That definitely would be really cool. I want to ask if we're gonna get more music videos from you guys in this era, because that's something I've always wanted to see more of. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
We've done a bit of content for this.
I feel like that's what it does. That's why it's amazing, because like it gives us an avenue to create fun content, to create things. I think this is the most, because obviously the music industry has changed, right? So everybody now, we have a whole team and most of them are like,
I'm on TikTok now.
Yeah.
You have to be.
What I mean is that I'm actually on TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we have like the people on our team who are mostly like Gen Zs now.
Yeah.
Like, yo, can you guys recreate this sound?
Content.
Yeah. You know, so it's interesting. It's interesting to see. I think we're obviously going to be a lot more visible in this era. And I also then think as well like, you know, the Nollywood aspect of it gives us a lot more space to play around,
and
just do things,
it's very smart.
You know, and so like I just be seeing Nollywood, I'm like, damn, this would be a great thing to like.
There's so much material to work on too, like it's abundant,
100%,
which makes it great.
100%.
I think even in terms of doing like curating this in terms of a festival or a show, like even. I would love to do a show where it's like a theater work of some of the stuff that we have, like it's actually in theater and written and directed like that, but
there's so many possibilities.
There's so many possibilities to it.
I love to see it. So just zoning in with you guys as individuals, I feel like you guys are very similar, but your writing styles are a bit different with how you approach each song.
Yes.
So walk me through that. So really.
I'm more PG. That's what I see. That's the first thing I see. I'm way more PG. No, like I feel like I think Ghost has always been somebody that I've looked at as like a top tier MC. You know, the art of rhymes, words, putting rhyme structures together, putting lyrics together, things he says in his lyrics as well. You know, a lot of times, like, you know, we have this running joke, like once I put a verse down, then he'll put a verse down, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going back to rewrite my verse because I didn't know you were trying to take it to this level. You know, and so for me, he's always been someone that I've, you know, as always, it's like the bar is set high, so I'm always aiming like
iron sharpens iron.
Exactly, you know. And so so I think that has always been the thing. I think for me more recently, I think my lyrics have gotten a lot more introspective, I would say. Just like talking about things that I see, visions that I have, faith, relationships. And then also, you know, sometimes drawing on past experiences. I try and keep everything I write as honest as possible, as connected to my life specifically. Whilst he's like very metaphor heavy, he could talk about, you know, different things in his rhymes, you know. So I think that it gives a good balance.
It's a good balance,
It gives a good balance.
Definitely a good balance.
Yeah.
I was talking to my brother about it, and he was like, I should specifically ask you, because you're always saying like my guy in your raps, and he's like, are you saying that to these guys, like your own perspectives?
So first of all, who's your Egmo?
Yeah, I think like I take a lot of like, I draw a lot of influence from like stories that some of my friends may tell me. You know, I have like some older cousins or uncles that I hang out with, and I tend to like ask for advice on things, and just seeing stuff in their life. They may tell me a story, I'm like, that's funny.
That's great.
I'm gonna write it down. It's going to go in the next album or whatever. You know, just experiences like, you know. I remember like, you know, I went with Thames to the Grammys, and then my uncle called me up that night, and he was like, we haven't slept, I'm up now with my guys. I told them that's my boy, you know, at the Grammys, you know, like I put that into a rhyme on a song that didn't make the album, but just, I always just like have these like, you know, experiences and a real life experience. I'm like, that'll be great content. So even in conversations, I might have a conversation with you, you may not know, but I'm putting something you said.
Has anybody ever reached out to you like, really? You put that on what?
Yeah, there was one of my guys who carried 5 pipes to the guest house. I said one of the songs, and he basically hit me up, and it was like, wow, I can't believe you put that in the record, you know, but again, no face, no case. I'm not telling them, I'm not putting their names.
Their names out there, so they're safe.
All right.
Thank you for clearing that up.
How about your writing style? Like, what do you think, if you can speak about your writing process and also how you feel like it complements his?
I mean, working with Tech, Wale generally has flows in terms of, you know, if you are talking about having in fact, first of all, the palette to create from, first of all, like we have similar styles in terms of, if he has something that he wants me to listen to, it's probably something I'll find interesting anyways, and I'll write to it. But I think in terms of writing style, definitely, like you said, I'm probably more, you know, metaphor heavy and like, you know, traditional, but whereas I think with Tech's writing style, he's definitely more like, the stories that we've been through and what like drives some of the things that we, you know, like where we are now in the music. So that's why I find like the connection for us in terms of lyricism and picture creating. You understand? Doing it together, because like on the first song on this album, we did something similar to that. Like he gave a whole deep introspection of, you know, a lineage of things, and then I was now creating the timeline of how we individually came together and this stuff. So we just always bounce off each other in terms of lyricism and creativity. So
I love that. I feel like what you guys are also doing is a great example of the fact that like I think what I'm loving this year especially is that hip hop is gradually not becoming only a young man's game anymore. Like we saw the Clips album, like that was extremely fire. And I think for Nigeria, it's so great that you guys are, Africa even generally, that you guys are setting that precedent, because I feel like older perspectives still matter.
100%.
Yeah.
I think so. And I also think it's experience, right? Like the experience you've been through, right? Yesterday we're in New York and we went to a label, Mass Appeal. To their offices, and like, you know, they've just started putting out albums from like Ghostface Killer, Mobb Deep, people in our era that we grew up listening to as kids. We're excited. And so for me, I think that there's a world where, like, you know, I think there's a world for everything, you know, like I feel there's a world for, like, again, like I said, the NBA young boys, the, you know, like the kind of mosh pit hip hop, Playboy Cardi. I have some, like, I remember when Playboy Cardi was dropping an album, I think earlier this year, and I was with some people and they were like, yo, this is the most important day in music. I think the album was called Music. Like, yeah, they were like, this is the most important day in music, where we're stopping everything this weekend, we're having listening parties or whatever. And I was like, wow, like, this is, like, you know, this is what you guys resonate with. And I'm happy that, like, actually, there's still that excitement for music. You know, when we were coming up, like me, a Jay-Z album, nobody sees
that's an
me.
event.
Yeah, nobody sees me for like 2 weeks. I'm not even listening to anything else but Jay-Z for that 2 weeks, you know. And I feel that, like, you know, it's good to see that the younger generation have those artists and have those moments in their own world that they can do that too, for sure.
That's nice.
Sure.
I think one of the last questions I want to ask, are we going to get physicals for this album?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that, because I'd always want to. I don't know if you guys will ever like press physicals for
we're present
previous work.
We're doing vinyl for like all of all of our own material, for sure.
I'll definitely be there.
Yeah.
But you guys are having a listening party tonight. Is there a particular song that you guys are really excited for the audience to hear on this album?
I think all of it. I'm being honest, I think all of it. I think that, like, Afrika Magik is an incredible body of work. We're super proud of what we've created. We're super proud of the amazing collaborators we worked with on this project. And just the fact that, like, you know, for me, because we're such hip hop fans, if we ever go to the point where, like, we did a project and when we, like, I'll be the first person to say, yeah, goes, this is not tapping. But this one, I actually feel like we're getting better with time and with experiences, and we're tapping into new sounds, and we're going back and reflecting on sounds. And I think it's really, for me, as just even being part of Show Dem Camp, like, hearing this project, like, I'm like, you know, it's funny because now we have, like, what's the app called? Untitled.
Untitled, yeah.
Right? And then every night at like 3 a.m. I just see Ghost is listening to this album. Ghost is listening, and he keeps, and they give you the alert, so he can be waking me up. I'm like, bro, like, I'll call, like, bro, we made it. Like, why are you listening to it every day? But it's actually that
it's a good
great.
sign. It means you like what you
hear. First of all, he's listening to it as well. Second of all, it's like it's like the perfection process. Like, you have to, like, you know, okay, which track should come afterwards, and then I'm listening to it in different orders and stuff like that.
Sequencing too.
Different sequencing and stuff like that. Another thing I'm proud of is the fact that we definitely tapped into, like, I definitely, in terms of musical palette, I definitely challenged myself in terms of the kind of songs that we are writing, you know, the kind of, so I think that in itself is something that I was very proud of. And then the music, you know, speaks for itself. The music is very touching to me.
Amazing. Okay, I'm excited for this new era. Can't wait to hear the album November 3rd. November 3rd. Yes. All right.
Afrika Magik is everywhere. November 3rd.
November 3rd.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Tell your
family. Tell everybody. Tell your popsy, momsy, everybody. Listen to it, for sure.
For sure. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. This was an honor to have this conversation. And